got this.
The Science of Guinness World Records now open at Union Station. The exhibit dives into the science behind incredible record-breaking feats from the biggest spectacles to the smallest wonders anywhere. The Science of Guinness World Records goes behind the scenes with the stories and secrets of those who made history, and guests will have the chance to try it themselves with over 70 interactive displays challenging friends, family, and other visitors. The Science of Guinness World Records is here for a limited time. Buy your tickets at unionstation.org. Presented by Thrivent.
A great Father's Day begins with great specials at your neighborhood henhouse market.
1 minute, gentlemen, 1 minute.
Each day, we're talking USDA Choice Certified Hereford beef, just $5.99 a pound. Dad loves steaks, right? T-bones are only $13.99 a pound. Porterhouse steaks, $14.99 a pound. And hot or cold, full-slab, slow-smoked St. Louis-style spare ribs are only $15 each. You can find all these specials and much, much more at henhouse.com. Father's Day starts at Hen House.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Here they come to the line. Green flag goes in the air.
Heads to Mexico City.
Oh, trouble. Around and into the wall goes Cody Ware. He takes Daniel Suarez with him.
For a historic race at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
He'll bypass him on the back straightaway. That should be all she wrote. Christopher Bell into turn 3.
It's the Viva Mexico 250.
This Sunday afternoon beginning at 2 on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 a.m.
KCFX HD4 Harrisonville, K279PI Kansas City, 103.7 FM. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for over 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod-In Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the racing boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We got a great show lined up for you today. Brad Sweet, Ryan Timms. We got Kirk Elliott, Todd Surprise, Kirk Elliott.
And thanks to Jay Powers for spinning the knobs back at Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Right.
Happy to have you. And as you heard in the promo leading into the show, we're carrying a NASCAR Cup race from outside the United States this weekend, Mexico City, on the road course. What do you think about that, Scott? You know, a year ago they were at Iowa Speedway. I liked that Iowa Speedway date a year ago, but they're going to Mexico City instead, without Denny Hamlin, the most recent winner.
Kirk, what do you think about that?
Well, I would have liked to have seen Mexico City maybe the 3rd of August instead of Iowa Speedway and have the Iowa Speedway weekend this weekend.
Right.
It would have worked better with the Outlaws at Knoxville like we had last year. But, hey, they didn't ask my opinion how that was going to go. I think it's better to have the Cup weekend on this weekend than up against the 360 Nationals and the Capitani up at Knoxville. But that's only in my opinion, which NASCAR's not going to ask, what I think.
They're up against the 360 Nationals?
Yeah, for the Cup Series that weekend. So with the bridge out between Knoxville and Newton, that's going to be interesting to get back from the Cup race on that Sunday, August 3rd.
How difficult is it to maneuver around that?
Well,
Kurt?
It takes an extra, 10 or 15 minutes, go down a couple of gravel roads north of Knoxville.
Right.
Because the mile bridge is not going to be in operation for a while. Through the summer, through the year.
How long is that going to be out?
I don't know. It's going to be out a while. All year, from what I'm told. So
at least
anyway, I would have rather seen
for sure.
the Cup weekend at Iowa this weekend and Mexico City. But I see why they did it this way. When NASCAR was putting their schedule together, they thought they had an agreement with a road race up in Montreal, but that didn't work out. And the way it lays out on the schedule, they would have gone from Michigan to Montreal and then back to Pocono. That was their original plan, but the last-minute deal couldn't be worked out with our friends north of the border, so they pulled it off in Mexico City, which the logistics of going from Michigan to Mexico City and then back to Pocono,
It's a lot of travel.
That's going to be a lot of travel over the next couple of weeks.
Last night, David Gravel picked up the win at Knoxville Nationals.
Man, he had to really work for that. He came from 8th starting spot to win that feature last night. That was a hell of a run by the defending World of Outlaws champion.
Kerry Manson gave him a pretty good run for his money, didn't he?
Well, there for a while until, Gravel was able to get around him. But I'm amazed that Gravel was able to come from the 8th starting spot.
Were you
surprised? To win that race last night. He outran Rico, who had won 2 races his previous 2 visits up at Knoxville. He outran Carson Macedo, Corey Day, and Giovanni Scelzi, who started on the pole. Gio, I thought, was going to win that race last night, but he faded there to 6th place before it was all done. But, man, that was a hell of a run by Gravel last night.
How about Corey Day?
Well, he's recovering from that big crash at Eagle the other night.
Right.
If you hadn't heard about that, well, if you follow sprint car racing, you know about it. But what an event they had up at Eagle from the high limit race when Buddy Kofoid and Corey Day were doing an epic battle, and somehow Kofoid held off Corey Day. Corey got into the fence and crashed.
But that was a big time wreck, wasn't it?
That was a pretty scary wreck for sure.
Right.
So Corey had it all working last night. He runs well at Knoxville. If you remember, he was in the top 3 of the Nationals last year. He ended up 5th last night. 64 cars showed up at Knoxville last night. All but, I think, 4 of the top high-limit guys were there. We didn't see Brent Marks. We didn't see Justin Peck. He wasn't there. I think there were 4 regulars of the high limit that were not in attendance at Knoxville last night. Tanner Thorson was not there either, but everybody else was. The high limit, and you combine that with the best of the World of Outlaws and the best that shows up at Knoxville every week, and that was a hell of a field of cars you had up there last night.
Anthony Macri gave a heck of a run, didn't he?
Well, he's running better at Knoxville than he has in the past. That you figure that Macri on a big half-mile racetrack, he dominates Port Royal and some other half miles out in Pennsylvania, but he struggled a little bit at Knoxville, but he's starting to get the handle of the Knoxville Raceway right now. So he's showed up. He was there last week for the regular season show. By the way, what a finish that was last week where Tyler Courtney held off Corey Day and what was a photo finish last Saturday night. And Sunshine has had some pretty good runs at Knoxville, too. Remember, he won the 360 Nationals last year, and last week he wins his first sprint car race in a long time. I think it might have been his first race of the year last week, holding off Corey Day in the regular season race last Saturday night. So a lot of these guys, high limit is off for a couple of weeks until they go down to Lucas Oil Speedway here in a couple of weeks. So many of those guys have been showing up at Knoxville. Not Rico. Rico was not at Knoxville last week. He was up at Wisconsin racing.
We want to give a shout-out to Wild Willie Herman.
Yeah, Willie was one of our great callers. We used to take a lot of calls back in the early days of the show, and Willie Herman used to call in all the time. And Wild Willie, called him. They had his funeral yesterday. Sorry to have to report. Last week when we were on the show at this time, they had just put him in hospice, but since we were on the air last Saturday,
he passed.
Willie passed away, and we're sad to see that news. But anyway, they had the funeral
yesterday.
For Willie yesterday, so our thoughts and prayers go out to Willie's family. He will be missed.
He was one of our great supporters, wasn't he, Kirk?
He was. He called in just about every week, didn't he?
He did.
So anyway, we're mourning the loss of Willie, and these. We're going to try to dig up. I don't know where they're at. To be honest with you, I don't know where all these tapes are at, but I think we've got some old recordings of some of the early shows back then. We just haven't been able to locate them yet, but one of these days we'll dig out.
We got them on cassette.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, do we even have
those cassettes?
Cassette
I
players
think
to
they're
play
over
them
there
on
in the
anymore?
closet.
Yeah, so
yeah, they're in the closet, but you'd have to. Luckily, they're in a cool, dry place, so that's the best way to store that stuff. But you have to you got to get you a cassette player and a converter and convert that all over to digital. That's a long, tedious process. There's companies that make big bucks doing that kind of stuff that do digital transfers.
Well, it just depends on how valuable that material is for you.
Yeah,
I've got spend to keep it.
Well, I've got some high 8 video, from back when my mom was alive and when she was very young, and I'm getting ready to get that all transferred over to some digital stuff because it's stuff that, heck, my kids have never seen, So I mean, it's.
I've got some videotapes of my mom.
Yeah,
and
just valuable to have.
VHS tapes.
Got to get that transferred over. One day it'll just disappear because that stuff's magnetic. Those VHS tapes don't last forever, guys.
Right.
Do your best, keep them cool and dry and stacked on the end like a book, and they should be good for a little while. But I'm with you guys. We do have when we moved out of the old WHB building over there, the studio over there, and we pulled all that stuff out. Man, there were boxes and boxes of cassettes, and I was like, "What are these?" He goes, "That's how we used to record the show back in the day." And I was like, "Well, I'll be darned. I had no idea that was how it used to be over there." Pretty cool setup they had over there at the old studio.
So anyway, it's a great night of racing at Knoxville last night. I thought the heat races were great. The whole night they had enough cars to run a D main last night. They had the 305 sprint cars as part of the show as well last night. Congratulations to Jay Kinder for winning that. They got the 360s with the 410s tonight at Knoxville. Looking forward to being up there tonight at the Knoxville Raceway, 2-night show for the World of Outlaws. And we'll see who comes away with the big prize tonight. See if David Gravel, he looked dominant enough. He just might sweep the weekend. I don't know. The lines that he was running last night were, the way he was coming off the top and going to the bottom of the race, he was just rocking it off the corners last night.
Well, to be honest with you, to be brutally honest with you, he ran the top side really well last night.
He did.
Yeah.
He was just running better than everybody else, no matter where the line was last night. It was slick in the middle. It was good racetrack last night. Not a good night for Brian Brown.
Brian Brown got into it with Aaron Reitzel.
Oh, my gosh. The heat race, they were fighting for position coming around turn number 2, and Brian got up onto the rear wheels of Aaron Reitzel, and over he went, and that's about as hard a hit as you want to make against the wall down there. And they interviewed Brian after he crawled out of the race car, and he says, "I don't know if I'm still in Knoxville or not." That was a hard and it destroyed the race car. He was done for the night. So, too, was Aaron Reitzel. He was finished for the night as well. But, man, what a hard hit.
Took out both cars.
Brian complained that, he didn't qualify well, so you got to go for it. And, if he'd have qualified better, he qualified 11th in Group A. For Brian Brown, that's not very good at Knoxville. So
were you a little surprised?
He was saying that he had to make up for a poor qualifying run and just got a little bit over anxious there. And the 21, they're going to have to dig out a new car for Brian. Let's see what they.
Were you a little surprised by Rico last night?
A little bit. He's been so dominant up there. He held off Kyle Larson in the first World of Outlaws race up there in April, and then he won the next week in a regular season race up there. So he's got 2 wins and 2 starts heading into last night at Knoxville, and he had a pretty good starting spot last night. He started outside second row of the main event, and you're thinking that's far enough up that you should have a chance to win the race. Gio led the first few laps of the race, and then he faded, and then Kerry Madsen was able to hold off Rico. Rico just didn't have anything for Kerry Madsen, and then here comes David Gravel from the 8th starting spot. And I think Rico, after he got out of the race car, after what he saw happen, he was happy with the 3rd-place finish. That his car just wasn't maneuvering well, or he was not putting the car in the right spots at times, and Well, you had to be perfect last night to outrun Gravel, so I think all intents and purposes, he won an exciting heat race. Rico did earlier in the night.
Gravel started 8th.
Yeah, so that was pretty good run. But I was going to say that heat race that Rico ran, holding off Kerry Madsen and Anthony Macri third, that was probably the best heat race of the night. And then you're thinking, okay, those are Rico and Madsen may be the two guys you have to outrun. Well, it turns out that those two guys ended up in the top 3 anyway, but Madsen ahead of Rico, but David Gravel, I don't think anybody's thought that, where he started in 8th, that Gravel would have a chance to win that race when you consider who started ahead of him last night. But he just mastered the lines last night and made it happen. It was a perfect racetrack.
Corey
for
Day
Gravel.
started 10th, and he ended up running 5th.
Yep. And Gio ended up 6th after starting on the pole. Macri was 7th. Austin McCarl 8th. Tyler Courtney 9th. And Brad Sweet from 13th to 10th. Donnie Schatz made the biggest move of the night. Schatz didn't have a qualifying run either that was very good. And so he didn't get transferred out of the heat or the B, and he had to use a provisional start. He comes from 25th to 15th. So, you expect better out of Donnie Schatz in terms of qualifying, but his qualifying run put him behind the 8 ball from the get-go last night, and he was playing catch-up.
Were you a little surprised by Ryan Timms last night?
Yeah, he started 7th and ended up 14th.
He ended up 14th.
Yeah. Of course, he's been on a roll at Knoxville and the weekly stuff up there. He's won 3 times, once in a 360, a couple of times in a 410 up there.
In the 10 car.
Yeah. We've got Ryan coming up here a little bit later on, and he's coming off 2 straight wins at Houston Speedway as well. But, hey, when you go up against this kind of a competition,
right?
Everybody's good.
Right.
On a night like last night, that was a Nationals quality type field that we saw at Knoxville last night. We're going to see it again tonight. So weather looks good.
Are you going up there tonight,
Yeah.
Kirk?
Planning on it. You going?
I'm not. I'm going to go out with Deidre tonight.
So you'll be monitoring from afar. We'll get a couple of guests lined up for Monday.
I don't get a chance to go out with
I
Deidre
know
much.
it. So I was hoping you'd be able to ride up there with me tonight. Bring her along. We'll all go.
She won't go to Knoxville.
She's a big race fan.
She is.
Yeah. We'll get her talked into it.
Maybe.
So anyway, a lot of races got rained out last night. The Lucas Oil late models weekend at Smoky Mountain Speedway, supposed to be the Mountain Moonshine Classic, got completely rained out. There was supposed to be Power Eye sprint cars at Callaway Speedway and Fulton last night, and then tonight at Lake Ozark Speedway. Both of those events have been canceled. I'm surprised that Lake Ozark called that off early. That was supposed to be tonight. And is it supposed to rain today, Todd? I haven't seen the forecast, but they called that show off a couple of days ago.
Is it supposed to rain tonight, Todd?
Well, there's some chances of some pop-up showers, so I didn't know that going into today, but
yeah.
I did mow my grass a little early this week thinking I did remember seeing in the forecast there might be some chance of rain later on, so who knows. I'll pull that up here on a second. We'll get
But that was supposed to be with the War non-wing sprint cars and the
Right.
Power Eye sprint cars were supposed to pay out some pretty good
That
money
would have been a
for-
damn good show,
yeah,
wouldn't
for Lake Ozark Speedway tonight, but that and last night's event at Callaway canceled. They did have the race at 34 Raceway on Thursday night, and Aaron Reitzel won that event. And that was a pretty good show up at 34 Raceway the other night. But the rest of the weekend called off. Also called off the ASCS weekend at Creek County. They were supposed to race at Creek County Speedway last night, and Tri-State Speedway and Pensacola, both those events called off for the weekend. That's been rescheduled for July now. And we had some other rainouts as well. Out east, it rained all over Pennsylvania and Ohio. Attica got called off last night. There were a couple events that they were able to get in. I was surprised they got in the non-wing USAC show last night at Red Hill Raceway, where the it was raining, and I was thinking, okay, this thing's rained out, but I went back there and they were working the track in, and they ran through the heat races and got the feature started. This would have been like 1 o'clock local. I think where they were at is still Central Time, though. But it was after midnight when they ran the feature, and Logan Seavey won his first race. And I did stay up to watch that before I went to bed.
Kirk is hardcore.
He's hardcore, man.
Logan Seavey won his first race in about 3 months. I think it was Florida the last time Logan Seavey had won any kind of a race. Remember, he won the preliminary race at the Chili Bowl. Logan's not had a good run of things here in the last 3 or 4 months, but last night he had it all figured out, held off Kyle Cummins on a couple of 3 green-white checker restarts, one of which Cummins was able to pull a slider on Logan but couldn't make it stick. And Seavey was able to hang on for his first win in a long time last night out at Red Hill Raceway for the USAC non-wing sprint cars. They're going to race USAC Silver Crown cars at St. Louis this weekend. The Indy cars, I made a mistake last week, said the Indy cars were last weekend in St. Louis. No, it's this weekend, tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow night.
At Worldwide Technology Raceway, but today they're going to run the USAC Silver Crown cars. And the only other race that I watched last night was the fastest 5 days at Cottage Grove Speedway for the NARC King of the West Series, and Jesse Schlottfeld comes through with the feature victory, and that was after James McFadden won the first 2 nights of that series. McFadden back from Australia.
He outran Tanner Holmes.
Jesse Schlottfeld.
Right.
And that was a pretty good racetrack at Cottage. You've been to Cottage Grove Speedway many times.
I've been there.
I thought that was a pretty good racetrack last night. So that is about it from a national scale to talk about. We had a lot of local racing around the area last night. Lakeside Speedway did run, and so did Humboldt and US 36 all got their shows in last night. Weather was good here in our part of the world.
Absolutely.
Last night, congratulations to Shadron Turner, who won the A-Mod feature down at Humboldt Speedway. Aaron Morant winning at Lakeside. And we had, I think, about 15 race cars at US 36 and the Race Saber sprint cars, 305 sprints. Monty Ferreira won that feature event at US 36 Raceway last night. So we did have quite a bit of local racing around the area, but Mother Nature not so kind to folks down in Tennessee and Ohio and Pennsylvania and out east. A lot of that stuff got rained out.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Brad Sweet is going to join us here on Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Track Talk coming up next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
I'd love to play golf this weekend, but it's impossible to find tee times.
I just use Play Golf.
3.5, gentlemen, 3.5.
Golf courses all in one place.
PlayGolfKC.com? Can you book tee times there?
Not only can you book tee times, but you can see what's available all at once.
PlayGolfKC.com. What courses does it include?
Well, Sycamore Ridge, Shoal Creek, Adams Point, Winterstone, all of the best courses.
Oh, PlayGolfKC.com. It's where the best of public golf is at your fingertips.
A great Father's Day begins with great specials at your neighborhood Hen House Market, like fresh 93% lean ground beef, ground fresh several times each day. We're talking USDA Choice Certified Hereford beef, just $5.99 a pound. Dad loves steaks, right? T-bones are only $13.99 a pound. Porterhouse steaks, $14.99 a pound. And hot or cold, full slab, slow smoked St. Louis style spare ribs are only $15 each. You can find all these specials and much, much more at henhouse.com. Father's Day starts at Hen House.
The big screen is still the best way to enjoy the magic of the movies. At B&B Theaters, we have the best big screens to enjoy the movies. B&B is family-owned and operated and has been bringing Hollywood to your hometown since 1924. And they are headquartered out of the Kansas City Northland. Visit B&B this month for great movies like Ballerina, The Phoenician Scheme, How to Train Your Dragon, Elio, F1, and more. Visit bnbtheaters.com to join our Backstage Pass loyalty program, which is totally free to join. B&B Theaters, the way movies are meant to be seen.
For the past 60 years, Kansas City has trusted City Rent-A-Truck for all their work truck needs. Whether you're tackling a construction project, working on power lines, or just need to transport your crew, we have a reliable fleet of work-ready, on-demand vehicles to keep you moving. Flatbeds, bucket trucks, pickups, dump trucks, service bodies, and much more. We offer the widest selection of vocational vehicles in the industry. Visit us today at cityrent-a-truck.com.
Sweeten your weekend with some seriously tasty deals. From Friday, June 13th to Sunday, June 15th, get 20% off all illicit edibles, including gummies, caramels, gemstones, and power cords. Craving a classic? Buy one illicit pre-roll and get the second 50% off. Applies to singles, 2-packs, and 5-packs. It's the perfect mix of flavor and function. Stop by From the Earth or visit FTEMO.com to stock up while the weekend's hot.
The wait is over. The word.
1 minute, gentlemen. 1 minute.
10-4.
Just for a limited time. Now through June 22nd, buy 3 Big O brand tires and get one free. Plus, do you know your car's safe on the road like me and my family do? We do because we visit Big O Tires. They offer expert services on brakes, alignments, oil changes, and more. And all with multiple financing options available. So what are you waiting for? Visit your locally owned and operated Big O Tires today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I love it, man. So happy to be a part of this. Super grateful for Coach Reed bringing me in, giving me an opportunity.
Oh, a lot more ready. I'm definitely, going to be able to come in, guns blazing, and I'm excited that, I get to get my legs underneath me.
Your home for the NFL. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the Power Eye Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, you need to correct yourself.
Yeah, I got a text from Jerry Franks up there. He said there were 21 Race Saber sprint cars up there. I stand correct. What did I say, 15? There was more than that. There were 21 at US 36 Raceway.
And that's a pretty good number.
Congratulations to Monty Ferreira for picking up the victory up there.
That's pretty good for IMCA.
Yeah, that's a better car count than they've been getting for 305 sprints at US 36 Raceway, so that's not too shabby. Brad Sweet went and beat the Outlaws last week. Of course, he's a 5-time World of Outlaws champion, but he's on the other side now. He's over at High Limit Racing, where he won the championship last year, and he got the better of the Outlaws at Beaver Dam Speedway last Saturday night. And it's been a while since we had Brad Sweet on the air. I think we talked to him after he won the championship last year, but been a first win in a long time, and he was on our Mostly Motorsports show on Monday to talk about it. Here's part one of Brad Sweet from earlier this week. To win any way you could get it. Just what's that do for your race team, even though it wasn't a high-limit race, but you go into World of Outlaws territory, pick up the win. How big is that for you right now?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get to June, June, July, and August are the biggest months in sprint car racing, so you certainly want to be, performing at the highest level you possibly can be, and we kind of had a little bit of bad luck, or I don't really like to say bad luck, but we've had some things not go our way. And, over the last, few weeks, May wasn't what we were hoping. We raced, quite a bit, but got a lot of rain out, had a few accidents, and, just kind of hadn't gotten a groove yet. And so it was nice to, go to Beaver Dam. It was a strong field of cars. Obviously $20,000 to win is a nice, pickup for the team. And yeah, just a nice night to get things, feeling like they're back on track, and, get ready for Eagle here with High Limit Tuesday night for $55,000 to win, and a lot of big races coming up over the next few months. So yeah, definitely needed it, and I'm excited that we were able to get it done.
You beat Anthony Macri and Sheldon Hodshield and David Gravel. Those are pretty good competitors.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the sprint car racing's tough right now across all the different series out there, and I think there was a little bit of a unique night when High Limit had off. We were able to go race with the World of Outlaws, and so you kind of had some extra competition. So just happy to see where we stack up. Obviously getting the wins, we want to win any race we go to, no matter what series it's with, and anytime like I said, it's June, so it's time to start winning some races. So it's just nice to kind of get off to a good track here, and got some big races coming up here.
Yeah, I mean, just the string of bad luck. Just, a lot of this stuff just not your. It's out of your control. That situation at Lakeside, that completely out of your control. And of course, the deal at the Race Routine Foundation race the other night, car just spun out in front of you. You had nowhere to go. I mean, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, just bad luck. Like I said, just sometimes, and that's how racing goes. You get in, some kind of sometimes just things don't go your way, or you kind of get in a slump, or you're off with your car, or just there's a lot of things mentally that happen with racing. There's a lot of highs and lows, and you just got to kind of try to fight through the lows and the adversity, and then be prepared when everything you're kind of always working towards having these good nights, getting your car right, and positioning yourself to win the race, and making sure that you're mentally prepared. And it's just I've been racing long enough to know that there's going to be good nights, there's going to be bad nights, and you're going to have things that are out of your control. But obviously, we try to control everything that we can control, and we try to be as prepared as we possibly can to fight through the adversity that's going to come our way.
Talk about that DQ. You didn't go to the scales. Was that the reason that you felt your flat was not going to make your way?
Yeah, describe just everything that went on there. Just what happened?
Yeah, just just a kind of an unfortunate set of circumstances led to that. But the basically what happened is the flagman lost track of the lap count and was one lap off, and so he waved the white when we should have been coming to the checkered. Well, everything is run off of electronic timing and scoring now. So as far as the race was over, as far as the timing and scoring loop was concerned. So it was done. It only goes to lap 30, and it shuts off. So it had to finish, and then the flagman had us race another lap. Well, in that lap in particular, I got a flat tire on the white flag lap, and so I got a flat coming to the checker. Well, I lost all the spots. I went all the way to dead last because I didn't really make it back around on the flat tire, and so I thought when the race ended, the checkered came out. I went across the checker with a flat tire and dead last. So I just drove up into my trailer, drove over towards the pits and went to the trailer. Well, if you don't go to the scales, you get DQ'd if you're in the top three.
Right.
And so when they finally called it over the radio that I was in the top three, because I think there was just mass confusion between the flagman and Mike Hess, the race director, and the racers themselves. I think everybody was a bit confused on what had happened. And so I think Mike was trying to figure it out. He was looking at the scoring and timing and scoring, monitor and just calling my name. But obviously we all kind of knew that, I had my issues. So yeah, I don't know. I think, just a weird set of circumstances led to me not going to the scales, and ultimately led to a DQ, which is what you got to do when a guy doesn't go to the scales. But we moved on from that. That just kind of like those things, are few and far between, but they do happen in racing sometimes. And, sometimes it's just you get the short end of the stick, and we did on that one.
Hey, just getting back to what needs to happen to make sure that situation up at Butler doesn't happen again. What kind of procedures need to happen so we don't see something like that happen again?
Well, I think it's just, one of those things where the race director, because of sitting where the timing and scoring was put him in a spot where he couldn't see the track clearly. I think the race director needs to be able to see the timing and scoring more clear, and I think that would have solved the problem. I think he would have been able to radio to us fairly quick that, hey, that was the checkered, throw the yellow, that was the checkered, and it would have, prevented some of the mass confusion. But I think he was trying to do, his job the best he could do, which was, he wasn't necessarily sitting right next to the timing and scoring monitor, so to speak. He was trying to make sure he had eyes on the track to be able to call cautions and such. But yeah, I don't know. We rely on a lot of different, flagmans across the country, and this is just something that doesn't normally happen. So, I think we can learn from this mistake, and it's not a huge deal. I don't think we need to make it a bigger deal than it really is. But there's the flagman miscounted the laps, and the timing and scoring. The race director wasn't close enough to the timing and scoring monitor. So one of those two things need to be fixed, and I think moving forward they will be.
Let's talk about that win, how you were able to get that victory. That was a pretty wild race up there at Beaver Dam. Getting past Carson Macedo right there. There's some pretty tight quarters, and working the lap traffic, that's a big deal up at Beaver Dam, isn't it?
Yeah, Beaver Dam's, it's an intense racetrack for sure. And, it's anytime that you win these races or you lose them, a lot of it's dictated in lap traffic and how well, a guy can get through lap traffic. So luckily my car was kind of, come to life later in the race, and I was able to kind of get back by David and Carson and get the lead, with about 8 to go. And kind of was able to kind of drive away a little bit there, which was nice, and gives us some confidence on kind of the stuff that we did with our race car and some of the setup stuff. But yeah, Beaver Dam's always been really good to me. Definitely won some races there over the years, and it was nice to get back there. The Wisconsin fans, always come out, and it was a packed house and a great racetrack. So, overall a great night for our Napa team.
You like going in beating the Outlaws, don't you? You mentioned that coming into rivals territory. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we just want to win any race we go to, right now. And there's a lot of money on the line, these next couple months. And racers, we don't race during November, December, January, February. And, you get a little bit of racing in March and a little bit in April. And then, really our prime of our season is these next few months. So, whether we're, beating up on the Outlaws or trying to win high limit races, I mean, we just, this is the time to perform right now. So, like I said, it's just nice to kind of get off, get that monkey off our back. We've been running second to Rico a lot, and third, and kind of right in the hunt, just hadn't been able to get a win. So it's just nice to get a win, and, it's just nice to get some momentum, pointed our way. And like I said, just we got Eagle coming up tomorrow, and it's $55,000 a win. So we're just super focused on trying to get the next win that we can.
We got more from Brad Sweet coming up in hour 2 exclusively on Race Boys. We're going to hear from Ryan Timms here in a little bit. I want to say something about what Brad said about the flagman and his responsibility for keeping track of the laps.
Right.
I'm going to have to take issue with that a little bit. In this day and age where you got the flagman up there with radio communication to the tower, should it be his responsibility to keep track of the number of laps up there? Shouldn't somebody be like the scorer talking in his ear? Okay, we're at this lap. We got 2 laps to go. White flag, next lap. To put this much responsibility on the flagman at that circumstance, to me, it's the race director's responsibility. And if he can't see from inside the booth, then they need to do things at these racetracks to have a better situation for the scorers and the race director where they can see outside from their scoring booth to properly officiate these races. The fact that Mike Hess was outside the booth and not next to the scorers because he couldn't see from inside the booth,
right?
That's got to be corrected. A high-level series like the High Limit Series shouldn't be in that kind of a situation.
Mike Hess is one of the best race directors in the business, isn't he?
I think in this circumstance, I gather he's the only one on the radio talking to the drivers through the receiver. I don't have an issue with the scorers getting on there and having communication with the drivers too. Okay, you belong in this spot, move up one spot, that type of thing, and the scorer getting to the flag, or directing the flagman. Okay, this is how many laps we've got left. So I think not only the race director but the scorers should be able to get on the radio and keep up with the communication as far as lap count and who belongs where up there. So
you don't take issues very seriously, do you, Kirk?
Do you think that any other driver that got DQ'd in that situation for not going to the scales with a flat tire would have complained about, hey, what are you doing? You're penalizing me for, you guys are the ones that screwed up with the lap count. We thought the race was over later than you said it was, and Brad Sweet didn't complain about it much. Why? Because he's co-owner of the series.
Right.
You think that he was taking one from the series there? Because any other competitor that got DQ'd in that kind of a situation, as well as I do, would have complained to high heaven about getting DQ'd.
Right.
You think that?
I think so.
So, Brad Sweet taking one for the series there. But that was a big deal. Brad said, everybody making a big deal out. Well, it is a big deal if you're Brad Sweet because he had a pretty healthy point lead, and now it's a 5-way battle for the points championship now after Brad Sweet got that disqualification up at Butler here a couple of weeks ago. So anyway, we'll hear more from Brad Sweet coming up in hour number 2. But I was thinking about that as I'm listening to him describe all of that. They use different flagmen everywhere they go.
Right.
They don't have a series flagman. So if they're going to put that much responsibility on the flagman, shouldn't they have a series flagman travel the circuit?
Don't you think they should?
Well, if they're going to put that much responsibility on the flagman to keep track of lap counts and so forth, yes.
It's a traveling series. Get your own flagman. Have an earpiece in his ear. That way everybody's on the up and up. And we don't have – maybe that's what's going on now. You know what I'm saying? Now that we've already had this issue, you would hate for him or Kyle Larson for this to happen again, right?
You know what? One place they can't blame the flagman is because they don't have.
They don't have one. Maybe
Lincoln Speedway where they've got the virtual flagman.
So there you go. So the virtual guy, who are you going to blame?
Maybe more tracks will be going to that. I don't know, but Lincoln Speedway seems to be the only track that's done the virtual flagman.
Right.
Every other place is a little bit reluctant to pull the flagman out of the stand. So anyway, it's interesting to hear Brad's take on it after he's the one that got the worst end out of the deal as a driver. He's the one that got disqualified. It's to him, hey, we're making a bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. I don't know.
Said, let's just sweep this under the rug and go on to the next race. That's what that was.
Hey, I want to remind everybody, if you're going to Knoxville tonight, check out the display in the Hall of Fame, Manzanita Speedway Salute. And I've seen it. I was up there a couple of weeks ago, looked at. You've seen it too, Scott.
I have.
They have some great cars from Manzanita Speedway, including Jesse Hockett's winning car. He won the last sanction race at Manzanita Speedway. It's up there. You got, guys like Leland McSpadden and Ron Schumann and Bubby Jones and all kinds of great names from Keith Hull's Manzanita Speedway. The tribute is there till October the 1st. Check it out. You go to the Hall of Fame tonight. Make sure you look at all of the displays because they make a lot of changes in there. They switch out a lot of things often.
They got
so
8
if
cars.
You're up there last year and you haven't been up there since last August at the Nationals, then you need to go up there because they've swapped out, brought in some new cars, and, of course, the new display at Manzanita Speedway. And While you're there, check out the great items in the gift shop. They don't have the Corvette up there yet, but they're, the Corvette giveaway. The deadline to enter is the last day of the Nationals. Are going to be drawn for it the week after the Knoxville Nationals. It's a beautiful competition yellow Corvette ZR1 with the ZTK performance package, 1,064 horsepower. And if you win this car, you get the $30,000 cash to support the, Hall of Fame. The cash is used to pay the taxes on it.
Right.
And so it is a beautiful car. They're going to get it on in the window when they get it, and I'm told that that could be coming any time, that they get the Corvette on display in the window up there at the Hall of Fame. So go to winacorvette.org to register. Again, the last day of the Knoxville Nationals, August 9th, I think August 10th. The day after the Nationals, the last day you can enter, and they'll draw it for the following weekend. Winacorvette.org to get registered. Do it today. National Sprint Car Hall of Fame Museum open 7 days a week.
Jimmy Butt says, stop the rain. A little soggy at the lake, too.
Lake Ozark?
Lake Ozark.
So they probably did get more rain than
sounds like it.
Yeah,
there. I saw that. So that's
anyway,
not
they
good.
couldn't dry out Callaway Speedway, and apparently Lake Ozark Speedway got too much rain and couldn't get it dried out in time to host the races tonight. But I'm just a little bit surprised that they called off Lake Ozark as early as they did.
Right.
Because, we're thinking that the weather's going to be fine today, but I guess you never know.
Track Talk is brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. When we come back, Ryan Timms is going to join us next here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Track Talk. Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Paid for.
Yeah, 2 minutes, gentlemen, 2 minutes.
And should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
After my car wreck, there was a lot I didn't know.
I do know. My team knows injury law. We can help you understand all of your legal rights so that you don't get cheated.
DM Law knew what to do and got me $150,000.
Mike's got this. If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
The Science of Guinness World Records now open at Union Station. The exhibit dives into the science behind incredible record-breaking feats from the biggest spectacles to the smallest wonders anywhere. The Science of Guinness World Records goes behind the scenes with the stories and secrets of those who made history, and guests will have the chance to try it themselves with over 70 interactive displays challenging friends, family, and other visitors. The Science of Guinness World Records is here for a limited time. Buy your tickets at unionstation.org. Presented by Thrivent.
A great Father's Day begins with great specials at your neighborhood henhouse market, like fresh 93% lean ground beef, ground fresh several times each day. We're talking USDA Choice certified Hereford beef, just $5.99 a pound. Dad loves steaks, right? T-bones are only $13.99 a pound. Porterhouse steaks, $14.99 a pound. And hot or cold, full slept, slow smoked St. Louis style spare ribs are only $15 each. You can find all these specials and much, much more at henhouse.com. Father's Day starts at Hen House.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Here they come to the line. Green flag goes in the air.
Heads to Mexico City.
Oh, trouble. Around and into the wall goes Cody Ware. He takes Daniel Suarez with him.
For a historic race at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez.
He'll bypass him on the back straightaway. That should be all she wrote. Christopher Bell into turn 3.
It's the Viva Mexico 250.
This Sunday afternoon beginning at 2 on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 a.m.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints.
How about the job Ryan Timms is doing right now in that Liebing number 10 car? He wins his second straight at Houston Speedway last Sunday night. He's won, 3 races at Knoxville. He swept the weekend when the non-wing cars were up there.
Right.
Won 360s one night, 410 the next. He's got that 10 car running pretty well.
Rico Abreu has got 8 wins in the last 17 starts.
He does. He didn't have such a good night up at Eagle, though.
Right.
Up there. Well, anyway, getting back to Ryan Timms, we spoke with Flying Ryan Timms on our Mostly Motorsports show earlier in the week. Here's part 1 of that conversation. That was quite a battle you had with Chase Randall up there last night. And you had the wing all the way back on that car. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, Chase, he was really fast, and we both started up front, and we were able to just kind of get out separated from the field, and it's pretty tough to make ground, and if you do make ground, pass a guy in clean air. So I was kind of just waiting for lap traffic, and most guys, Chase, I would say, is better than most guys in lap traffic. So it wasn't just a walk in the park. He definitely made me have to drive for it. So it was a good race, and my wing slider, the bolt holding the arm in, fell out, and I was getting really tight, and I thought it was rubbered up. I was so tight, and I kept moving it forward, but nothing was changing. But I wasn't looking up. I had no idea what was happening, so I just tried to adapt to it, and was luckily able to get the win.
I mean, that's just pretty amazing when that wing is getting tied up. I mean, I thought the racetrack was in terrific condition. If they have that for the High Bank Nationals coming up in a couple of weeks, that's going to be one hell of a show, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. It was a really good racetrack. It was a completely different surface than what we normally see at USITS, I feel like. But yeah, High Banks is always a really good track. Normally it's a lot wider, but if we had that every night, I'd be happy with that.
You feel like you might have a little bit of an advantage going into the High Bank Nationals, getting so many laps around? I mean, the competition's going to ramp up. You saw that at Knoxville on Saturday night, but what are your thoughts after winning a couple in a row now at Houston's going into this big money event next week up at Houston's?
Yeah, it's a confidence booster, but no matter how many times you race at the same track, when the Outlaws come, it's going to be a completely different ball game, and it's always going to be really tough. So, I mean, I wouldn't say I might have a slight advantage in knowing how the track gets and how it's kind of going to be, but those guys they're really talented, so it's going to be a fight for sure. But with how many laps I have at Houston and how many laps I have this year alone, it's definitely makes me feel good going into it. So the only thing we're kind of struggling with right now is qualifying, but I think once if we can get that figured out and get qualified good for High Banks, then we'll be right up front.
How much difference did that wing adjuster cause you problems?
It wasn't terrible, but I had to be really careful with getting too high up in it, or else I get really tight and then want to just push all the way to the wall. I couldn't really go past half throttle without it wanting to drive into the wall, but I thought it was just rubbered up, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get my wing any more forward than it was, and I'm glad that I didn't know it was trunked, or else it probably would have messed with me a little bit more. But it happened to work out.
This has been a big matchup with you and Shane Liebig and Liebig Motorsports. I remember talking to you last year at I-70 out here. You down at Lucas Oil Speedway later in the year. You were really feeling pretty good about the way this thing is coming together. This match with Liebig Motorsports really worked out good for you in your career, hasn't it?
Yeah, I raced for my dad, our family car, for pretty much up until the end of last year. So it was a pretty big adjustment just with being at the racetrack and everyday life. It was a whole different deal, and I'm very thankful to be racing for Shane. And for whatever reason, we just seem to click really well, and definitely have a lot more speed doing this deal. So it's a good thing. I'm still, getting better as a driver and getting rid of a lot of bad habits. So the more we race, the better me and Shane both get. And I think just with laps, we'll just keep getting better. And the goal is to be winning outlaw and high limit races. So we'll just keep digging and see what happens.
You worked with Jimmy Carr there for a little while. How much did you learn from him?
Jimmy Jones.
Jimmy Jones. I'm sorry, Jimmy Jones.
Yeah.
Jimmy Jones.
Sorry about that.
No, you're right. Jimmy, he was with me pretty much from the start of my sprint car career, all the way up until this year, and he taught me a lot. And I didn't get really too involved with setup and the car and all that, but he never drove a sprint car, but he knew a lot about how to make him, as a driver, how to make him get around the track good. So he was always good to have as a little bit of a driver coach. And then he was just always in a really great mood. His spirits were always high, and just a really good guy to have around the team and keep everyone positive. So it's great to have around. It sucks that, we're not working together anymore, but that's just part of the business that we're in. And, we'll take advantage of all these new opportunities and just make the most of it.
So you're not working with Jimmy Jones anymore?
Yeah, we don't talk every day, and definitely not as much as we used to. But every week, every other week, I'll reach out or he'll reach out, and we'll just talk on the phone for a few minutes. And he's over working for Terry East. I'm doing ASCS stuff, so he's happy where he's at, and just like to keep in touch with him.
Man, that was a great battle that Tim's had with Chase Randall up at Houston's last week. That wing all the way back, you wondered how the hell can he manage that race car when the slider fell off. He just had no control of it. But he was able to get it to the finish line. That racetrack, by the way, up at Houston's was in great shape. They get that kind of a racetrack for the High Bank Nationals next weekend. Watch out. Buddy Kofoid is the defending champion of the High Bank Nationals. Last year, he won $100,000. This year, they have it on the weekend it's supposed to be. You remember last year, it got flooded out.
Right.
And $250,000 goes to the winner at the High Bank Nationals. Kofoid almost won it 2 years ago, but the engine blew up. His Toyota engine blew up there while leading. He was on his way to victory that day. So after Kofoid's run up at Eagle the other night, I'm gonna place my bets on Kofoid, and Ryan Timms is going to be a factor in that race up there as well.
But that wreck that Corey Day had up there was really gnarly, wasn't it?
At Eagle. Yeah, I mean, he got up there. Thank God they had that fence up there holding those some of those signs got taken out up there. That was a nasty crash for Corey Day up at Eagle.
All right, thanks everybody for tuning in to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Don't forget, we're going to be on YouTube,
We're on YouTube, Facebook Live, and racingboys.com. That's where you can watch the show.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We can't thank you enough for doing so. We'll see you next week right here on Track Talk on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll see you later.
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Make sure to check
Thanks,
out the
my man.
Sports
Appreciate it,
Radio
brother.
810 WHB app for all of our great content.
Always a good time. I will see you next week.
All right, have a good week, brother. Appreciate it.
You too, man.
For all things 810. Whether you're in your car, at home,
Rod End Supply is involved with a variety of motorsports as well as industrial applications with many different types of products. Since 1989, Rod End Supply has provided superior products priced competitively. Whether you're racing at the circle track or drag strip, rock climbing, or going off-road, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products to keep your equipment moving. Rod End Supply's experienced staff is ready and willing to help you with your needs. Their promise is to continue to provide a superior product with superior service so you can stay in front of the field no matter what it is. To learn more, go to rodendsupply.com.
Here at Specialty Sportswear in-house, we do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other add specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
From the circle track to the drag strip to off-road racing, Rod End Supply has been keeping their customers at the front of the field since 1989. Whether you need rod ends, tubular rods, or specialty products, Bob Douglas and his Rod End Supply staff are always ready to help you with your needs. You can visit them on the web at rodendsupply.com or call them at 800-284-2902. That's 800-284-2902. Rod End Supply, keeping you at the front of the field.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sabres 33 RLP. Let's go take a tour. Coming into this animal, we're going to take a trip back here to the feature of this trailer, the deck. Check it out. It's awesome. It's 4 by 10 feet. You can dance on this thing. Boom! Check it out. It's pretty nice. And then coming to the back of this thing, you got a 75-inch TV. It's huge. 60-inch fireplace. It's nice and big, keep you warm. Then you got an ottoman that converts into a table, if you will. Maybe some TV trays. Then this hide-a-bed that I'm pointing at, it comes out and folds into like a king-size bed with storage in the corner for all your linens. Great little addition to the trailer. Your dinette, of course. Then you're gonna come around to the kitchen with the tic-toc sink. It's got the spritzer and the waterfall and all that stuff. Residential style refrigerator. It's got the microwave and the oven that's residential as well. Big old pantry over here with motion detected lights, coffee bar, and then coming up to the bedroom, you'll have the bathroom first, nice and spacious with a seat in it for them ladies. And then we got the king size bedroom with washer dryer hookup. I'm telling you, this is a home run for a couples coach. Come and see me, Kyle Walker.
When Steve died, the outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive, so having that extra help to helped push me and my family forward was a big deal.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life and it's the lives of racers everywhere is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
So we have a lot of folks come in interested in traveling for work. This is going to be a great option. Your Coachman Northern Spirit 2565 front kitchen. You have a nice wraparound full front kitchen here. Huge windows up top. Big 12-volt refrigerator. Lots of windows on the sides here. Great natural light coming in. You have your big TV over here on the swing arm bracket so you can kind of see it from any point in the room. Also have your bar stools here. Sit and eat your breakfast. In the bedroom, you're going to have a king-size bed in the slide-out. Lots of storage underneath that. Washer, dryer, hookup. Tons of storage with the drawers. Then you got your full bath across the back. When it comes down to a camper that you can get for 6,500 pounds and be under 30 feet long, this is an absolute home run.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you are listening to RacingBoys.com, and if you're not, I swear to you, get in your truck or do something, but get the hell out of this country, because you don't belong in it if you don't listen to these fellas.
It's time for America's most unique motorsports show, Track Talk, brought to you by Rod End Supply and the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. It's all brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the Power Ride Midwest Lightning Sprints. Kirk, have you seen, Todd, have you seen the gorilla stuff on Facebook?
Yeah, if you've been on Facebook lately or any Instagram or any of that kind of stuff, you'll see the new the gorilla parody videos that they have out now. They're pretty.
It's pretty funny, isn't it?
They're pretty funny. So yeah, I did see that. Hey, last night at Lakeside Speedway, they got a new program out there. Kirk Elliott, have you heard about this? I
heard you talking about it. Explain.
Flag Person of the Week. So they have an honorary flag person. I saw Lisa Burlington. I think it was her idea, and it's an idea to try to get more kids to come out to the track, and get more involved with the racing thing. So 12 and under. You go up and you sign in, get your name thrown in, and then they pull out a name, and that person gets to be the honorary flag person for the night. And like you said, I don't know all the details, but this just started last night.
I think we're going to give away some T-shirts out there.
I talked to everybody. I think we're going to try to get some T-shirts together, and that way that person can have maybe a little goodie package to go home with for being part of the flag person of the week. So I'm going to get with Lisa and maybe some people out of Lakeside this week. And after Monday's mostly motorsports show, I'm going to grab some merch here from our place, and I'll swing by Lakeside or meet Lisa somewhere and explain how we're going to do that. But like you said, we've got some great merchandise, and it'd be great for some young kids to be sporting some Racing Boys gear, right? So like you said, we got some pretty cool colors. It ain't just the black and the gray. We got some really purple. My wife wears her purple one. Her purple V-neck Racing Boys shirt, she wears it all the time. That's one of her favorite new shirts that she wears all the time. So, like you said, we're going to try to get something done. And then they've got a big coin drop coming up the week at 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, anything you can do to involve kids
Absolutely.
at the racetrack.
That makes a big deal because the kids are out there that have their moms or dads out there that are racing, right? But we need to get the kids out there that don't have somebody in the pits racing. We need to get new kids out there, and that's what I think this will do. You let kids, and they get to be part of this, flag person of the week, and get the honorary wag of the flag. And they probably get some. So I think it's a good thing. Anything you can do to get kids out to the track, that's a good thing.
Well, weekly racing is at a crossroads right now.
Car
counts have
absolutely
slipped everywhere. And it's a pretty tough time right now. I'm not sure how we're going to recapture weekly racing as we once knew it. Young kids are not involved with cars like they were when you and I are growing up.
Right.
Usually kids will get involved in racing because their dads raced. Well, those numbers are dwindling, and it's not just here; it's everywhere. The healthy portion of grassroots racing is the big series that we cover here all the time.
Kids are
Outlaws, the High Limit, the Lucas Oil late models, all the big time series, the big name drivers. That in a healthy state right now. But the weekly racing, where you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to get in, as far as admission prices, that's struggling right now.
Yeah. Well,
And,
racing.
I applaud the promoters that are doing these kids programs to
Absolutely.
keep them interested to coming back, because if we don't get the kids at the racetrack, it's for sure going to die out.
Right.
So I think that's a big thing.
It's a real problem with getting kids out there.
Yeah. Well, there's so many.
Lots of activities.
There's so many activities and options that kids can partake in now.
When I was a kid, there wasn't winter baseball. Heck, my kid played baseball year round until the ground was so frozen over, and then they traveled out of town. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different. I get it. There's a lot.
It's totally different.
Yeah, a lot.
It's a different world we live in.
A lot of options, and let's face it, racing's not the cheapest sport to get into anymore either. And secondly, nobody's. I don't even change my own oil on my car. We all could change our own oil. We all physically know how to do that. We don't do that no more because it's a pain in the ass.
Well, I don't think they even teach auto mechanic classes in school anymore.
They've got it in the college, in the JUCO area, that type of thing. But in high school, Kirk, if they taught you something this year, by the time you're a senior, that's going to be obsolete.
Right.
It's not like the old days.
Everything's computer-driven now.
It's all you hook up to a computer, and your computer tells you.
Diagnostics
That's
and
right.
computers.
That's
what
where,
it's all about.
and I believe that's kind of where the thing's going to, is more of a diagnostics thing. And that's no fault in the kids or anything. You just aren't going to be seeing kids with the working. And there are some. Don't get me wrong. There's some really big car clubs out there with these kids who know so much about these cars. My nephew, who had nothing to do with cars or anything. He had an art degree, and this guy is now in the, I'd say, the car industry, where these guys are souping up these cars and making them just really fancy cars. And so, yes, there's some out there, but it's not you're not changing a carburetor out and changing, those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
They're shade tree mechanics are not a thing anymore.
Well, even the parts store business, which
Absolutely,
I've got
it's different.
family involved in that. The days of going in and just buying parts to work on your own car anymore, those days are past.
There's a few guys still doing that, and there's a few of those old cars. Like my Mustang, I still can go in and buy me some parts, and I bought my own solenoid and slapped it on. I can still do that. There's a few, but those cars, they're every year another one's gone. You know what I'm saying? These cars, they're just. I get it. It's tough to get kids into this sport, but what I would really try to look outside the box, and what Lakeside's doing with this program, I think it's a good thing. So
anything you can do to keep the kids involved. I know Lucas Oil Speedway does a great job
Absolutely.
with their go-kart track. They do some things down there as well. So the promoters that are working hard at that, I know they do some things up at I-35 as well. And Central Missouri Speedway, different places like that, to try to keep the kids involved. That's all you got left at this point.
Kirk, that $3,500 race got rained out last week, didn't it?
At Central Missouri Speedway,
Yep.
Too much rain down there last
Everybody
weekend.
got rained out last week, I think.
I don't think they're scheduled to race tonight at CMS.
No, I didn't see
so
anything.
they're not
Are they canceled?
racing. Well, they
think-
take a week off every month. So this was a planned night off at Central Missouri Speedway tonight, but they didn't get that race in last
Is that
week.
ASCS race still tonight, though? I thought I saw there was an ASCS race at
Well, they're supposed to be
Lone. I'm sorry.
You mean the ASCS National
Yes,
Tour?
sir.
No, it was rained out this weekend. They're supposed to be at Creek County Speedway last night, Tri-State Speedway,
Tri-State
Pensacola
tonight, yeah.
Both are rained out for the weekend. They've rescheduled those events for the middle of July.
So they will. Next race for ASCS will be Crowley Ridge Raceway, June 20th.
We want to give a shout out to Aaron Morant, who picked up the B-Mod feature last night at Lakeside Speedway.
Started on the outside front row, and I assume he led the whole way. Chad Clancy, Tim Carrick, Kerry Davis, and John Sheets, your top five. Had some pretty good runners in the B-Mod class at Lakeside last night. Congratulations to Chris DeShong, who won the USRA stock car feature. Don Mars, the track owner, winning in pure stocks. Corey Myers in E-Mods. Yeah, I remember Don Mars got DQ'd at the high limit race.
So him and Brad Sweet have something in common now, right?
Yeah. So
they both own us.
It doesn't matter if you're the owner of the
series
track.
or the track.
You know, it's so funny to see the 20X car out there running, because Don Mars is normally the number 9 car.
Well, in this case, he drove the 16S car. No, I take that back. He drove the 20X car last night. Yeah.
Right.
You're right. I was looking at the wrong name. Don Mars in the 20X car, the winner of the Pure Stock feature at Lakeside.
Shadron Turner, how about him picking up those?
Humboldt Speedway.
That kid, he's
Chris
a gasser.
DeLong
Man.
picked up the USAR stock car.
He did at Lakeside.
Right.
Shadron Turner, boy, he's one of the hot young racers, has been for a number of years now.
Yeah. He's
pretty
got
much a full-time A-Mod racer right now. He started fourth and won the USRA modified feature at the MW Mod Special at Humboldt Speedway last night. Reese Solander and Wyatt Gagerio finishing in the top 3. Tyler Davis, Ryan Middle, your top 5. See, Rick Beebe, he was racing down there last night.
How about that? Oh, Rick Beebe.
Rick Beebe's still out there doing it.
That's good stuff, man.
And also, the USRA B-Mod feature went to Tyler Kidwell at Humboldt. And Jacob Eliasson winning the Extensions Incorporated Midwest Mod feature. Dallas Joyce in the Home Savings Bank Factory Stock Division. And Mallory Wasserman winning in the Mini Stock Tuner class at Humboldt Speedway last night. They had the races up at US 36 Raceway last night. We talked about Marty Ferreira winning the feature event there in the Race Saber 305 sprints. USA Stock Car winner was Shane Bailey in Pure Stocks. Eddie Knoll winning in the Pure Stock feature. And Blake Hayes in the E-Mod division. Congratulations to all those winners at US 36 Raceway.
That's Little Ed Knoll.
I think so. Maybe
Eddie Knoll.
Maybe the little
Eddie Knoll. So we had, all the local racing was held last night.
I think they'll probably get it in tonight. I'm looking. I looked at radar. I didn't see much. I don't, unless I'm missing something.
Hey, Kirk, they're going to be running the the Lucas Oil drag boats down at.
That's right.
That was my dad's favorite event.
If you want to see boats on the lake, this is the weekend to do it at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Lake
Lucas.
My dad, when he moved down to Palm de Terre Lake, which is less than 10 minutes from Lucas Oil Speedway, that was one of his favorite things to do. He was a boat guy, and he used to work the pits back in the old.
The only bad part about that is you can't have any wind with those.
No. You got to run them early and late.
I've seen them called off.
There's
been delays, and they've been called off because the wind kicked up too much.
Yeah, no, you don't want a gust of wind when you're hitting that kind of speeds. But my dad, I know for a fact that they have their own little group of fans that's all they wait for is the boat races. They may not watch anything on dirt,
Right.
But as soon as those bait races fire up, man, they're down there. So it's a good time down there.
And they got racing on the dirt track too tonight.
Absolutely.
So
Right.
you can make a whole day of it. They're there tomorrow on the lake. Dirt racing tonight. You got the boat racing on the lake today and tomorrow. So Lucas Oil Speedway, good place to be on a summer day here this week. Hey, we had one other local racetrack last night that had races, Electric City Speedway. And I don't like the name of Electric City Speedway. It's still Butler to me, but this is
Right.
the track down in Butler, Missouri. The reason I don't like Electric City Speedway because there's already an Electric City Speedway. It's out in Montana. You've been there before.
I've been there.
But anyway, congratulations to Dean Willie, who started on the pole and won the Power Eyes Superstock feature last night at Electric City Speedway in Butler. Jordan Beard winning the Power Eye Midwest Mods. Brad Smith, Power Eye B Mod. Jimmy Smith in ECS Pure Stocks. Strictly Stock, William Franklin, and an IMCA Star Mod Lights, Dylan Rafferty. Eddie Neal winning the Showtime Vintage Series. And
Kirk.
Electric Speed. They had a lot of classes down there, did they?
We want to give a shout-out to the Bob Reber Memorial. John Sheets picked up the win.
That was last week, a week ago.
Yep.
Right.
That was a week ago. Yeah, Bob Reber Memorial last weekend.
Bob's a good guy.
Lake goes hard. Yeah, we miss Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
He was the flagman up at I-35 Speedway.
And worked a lot out at Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, out at Lakeside Speedway.
He was just a
He
good
did
guy.
whatever you needed done out there at Lakeside. Hey, here's
Passed away just a little over a year
Yep,
ago.
just a year ago.
What's the weather look
Well,
like?
here's
Is that current radar?
this is current weather, so we're getting ready to get something. I had no idea that.
Well, it's not going to go to Knoxville, is it?
I don't think so. It looks. I mean, so this is only
Looks
up.
like it's south of Knoxville to me. I think we're okay at Knoxville
Yeah,
tonight.
but here locally, and maybe down there in Tennessee and Little Rock, it looks like Tulsa's getting hit right now. Looks like pretty good. So
Yeah, no wonder they didn't get that race in at Creek County
Yeah.
last night. They've had a lot of rain in Tulsa.
they sure have.
Right.
I've got my friend down there, and he's dodging tornadoes, dodging storms.
I was
dodging-
looking
it's
so
just
forward
tough.
to seeing Creek County because, Blake Hahn, that's his home track. And,
right.
man, the show that Blake and Sam Haferteef and Matt Covington put on last weekend down at Texarkana Speedway, that was epic. Sam coming out on top on that one, but I was looking forward to seeing Blake at his hometown track. But they're postponing it for
Yeah.
about a month, I think.
Looks
it's
like
going to be next month.
they got full chance of rain all day today and tomorrow in Oklahoma.
not
So
good.
I don't see
Not
any
good.
chance of.
Yeah, Tri-State was supposed to be tonight. That's east of Tulsa.
Yeah,
So that's called off as well. And the Power Eye weekend that was supposed to be at Callaway last night.
Yeah, how
and
about that?
tonight at Lake Ozark Speedway called off as well.
Yeah, I hate seeing that. It's kind of strange. We're in the middle of, we're this end of June, and we're still getting a lot of rain out. And trust me, I'm not complaining because it hasn't been that hot. I'm not out there dying when I'm mowing my grass right now. You know
You
what I'm
just got to
saying?
mow your grass more often.
Boy, I'm telling you, if you got one of those yards that loves the rain, well, you're out there mowing. Every week on the dot. Like you can't miss it. And then there's so much rain, guys, that
I got to mow my grass.
that's what I'm saying. If you got to get the rain in or mowing in between the rains, right? So it's one of those things. I do know for a fact that we had yesterday was a great day around Kansas City. Everybody got their racing in. Tonight doesn't look. I haven't heard nobody else call anything off other than the Lake Ozark, right, Kirk? Isn't that what the
Hey, Todd, you got the vintage shirt on.
I do. I've got one of the originals. We shot these things off the roof of Lakeside Speedway during an ASCS 360 national event. Me and you went up on the roof. I took out, I don't know. I think we took out 50 or 60 T-shirts, and I wrapped them all up, and I threw them off the top during intermission one year. So we always have fun with our merch. So yeah, this is one of the old school, and we got some of the other ones right back here, as you can see.
Right.
Got some colorful ones over there. So like you said, we're going to have a new place on our website, maybe here in the next couple weeks, where you can just click on the
and buy some shirts.
Be able to take you right to the link, and then we'll try to get those shirts shipped out. We still have a thing on our Facebook, I'm sure, and if you want to reach out to Kirk at racingboys.com, he can take care of you too. We can get your address and send us and let you know what you want. But yeah, man, that's pretty cool. You know, I gave one of our shirts to Jamie Little. Did you know that, Scott? So I'm leaving the Kansas Speedway on the final day, you know, and
Right.
Fox will not be back at Kansas Speedway for the October race, you know, because it flips over. So they were wrapping it up, and Jamie Little has her own little, not little, she's got a giant security guy that walks her from place to place, you know. And I had a bag of T-shirts left because I took a bunch out to Kansas Speedway and was giving them away. Well, I had a pink T-shirt left, a women's pink T-shirt, a medium, and I was walking and I saw the handler who worked. It was a Jamie McMurray and Jamie Little, and so I walked up to him and I said, "Hey."
They got to have bodyguards?
Well, Jamie Little probably has somebody, you know, you're trying to get her from point A to point B.
Right.
And I wouldn't call them bodyguards. I'd say, I'd call them handlers, you know what I mean, let them know where. So anyway, I saw the guy and I said, "Hey, could you give this to Jamie?" I said, I was trying to catch up, and he said, "Jamie Little or Jamie McMurray?" I said, "No, Jamie Little." I said, "It's a T-shirt." And I said, "Hey, hold on a second." And I put my card in there, put my business, and he said, "Hey, that's a pretty good move, man," because he knew what I was doing.
Right.
And I said, "Could you give it to her?" And he said, "I'll personally give it to her." So maybe Jamie McMurray's out there. I mean, Jamie Little's out there wearing a
Racing Boys
shirt. So that'd be pretty cool to see.
Well, we've had Jamie on our show
Absolutely.
before. She knows about the Racing Boys.
She did a good job during that Indy race. Wasn't it the Indy race that she was helping out?
She was doing the pit reporting
Yeah.
at Indy 500.
Did a really good job, but I do know
doing the play-by-play for the NASCAR Craftsman
Truck Series. Is that today? Are they racing today, Kirk?
Now they're off this weekend.
Just because they're all down in Mexico, right?
They race in the Xfinity Series in Mexico City.
Yeah.
That's on the CW network.
And that'll be today, right?
Jamie McMurray is
Jamie
part
McMurray.
of that crew.
And then I was kind of surprised that
What
Corey.
do you think about Jamie McMurray?
He's pretty good. I like him.
Yeah, he's okay. I like Carl better.
Well, I like Carl.
I like Carl better.
I like Corey LaJoy. I was really surprised to see Corey LaJoy not in a car this year.
Corey does a good job.
But behind the mic, and
Corey's not afraid to bring it.
no, and he's a big cat. You don't realize how tall that, and until you see him standing next to Carl Edwards, and because Carl
That Amazon Prime, those guys are killing it over there.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, they've
great
got
coverage.
all the, they're throwing everything at it, right?
We got Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte in the booth.
Yeah,
and
can't
that
beat
Adam
that.
Alexander works very well with those guys.
Absolutely.
He
Adam's
doesn't
always
try
worked
to
with them.
dominate the broadcast. And then on the set, you've got Danielle Trotta. She's good. She
Yep.
knows what's going on. And you got Carl and Corey LaJoy.
Yeah, and they've got a
on
good
there.
team.
And the
Steve
production.
Letarte as well.
Yeah, Steve's just really.
Yeah.
he helps. I mean, I like his.
Well, I like that combination of a driver and crew chief.
Absolutely. I do
And
too.
why did NBC not re-sign Dale Jr.?
I think Dale was done with NBC.
You think there was
I
more
think,
to it than we
yeah,
know?
I think Amazon got to Dale way earlier than his contract was even thinking of being up. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Of course, Dale Jr., he was not there at NBC last year.
So
he
I
took almost a whole year off
Yeah.
before coming back on
I
the
want to
air.
give a shout out to Kelly, who's listening in from Central Point, Oregon. He's always a passionate listener.
Ask him, did you go to Cottage Grove last night?
that's what I was going to say. Did he hit the races out there, or did they get him in up there?
That was a pretty good show out at Cottage Grove. Got done before dark. Congratulations to Jesse Schlotfeld.
We better get to these
Winner
Brad
up there.
Sweet interview.
Well, let's hear part 2 from Brad Sweet. We heard from him a little bit in hour 1. He is the 5-time World of Outlaw champion and current high limit champion. He's won 6 straight championships in sprint car racing. And here's more from Brad Sweet from earlier this week. There was an announcement this past week that you're going to add a date to the Lucas Oil Speedway weekend coming up here in a couple of weeks. No races at Lake Ozark Speedway. Why was that event canceled?
Yeah, just a transition. Lucas Oil, we've been kind of wanting to go to a 3-day show there, and there's some logistical stuff with the series and stuff that just didn't allow us to go to Lake Ozark this year. Nothing really super wrong there. We look forward to going back there eventually, but trying to build a 3-day event there with Lucas Oil, excited about that opportunity, and really just such a nice facility. We've had some great races there last year, so look forward to getting back down there and kind of building that more into a bigger event. Over the next few years, our goal would be to build that into one of our premier, high limit races throughout the season.
And Kyle will be racing there on Thursday night down there too, right?
Yeah, that's Kyle will be there on Thursday. I think he has NASCAR stuff on the weekend, but he'll be there Thursday. So hopefully the fans will come out and support Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Like I said, we want to kind of build that into a camping and build some atmosphere and hopefully have a great crowd and build that into something that turns into one of the bigger sprint car events, because that facility definitely can handle it and definitely deserves to have a big sprint car event.
Yeah,
hey, what's the significance of at the Eagle Nationals, the 55,555? Is there a reason for the number? We're just kind of curious on that number.
Honestly, it's Phil Durst sponsors the race. He puts $5,555 on top of the winner's
Awesome.
share. So it's we actually just pay $50,000 to win, and then Phil likes to add that. I think it's just a nice touch from Durst and the Lincoln Auto Auction. That's his home track here, so just his little contribution, and just kind of puts a nice fun number on top for everybody to go after.
Hey, we haven't had you on since the big announcement was made back at Las Vegas earlier in the season on the franchises now with High Limit Racing. Just in the aftermath of that announcement now, just how big is this for sprint car racing with the franchise system that you got set up now, and just everything that's gone on as far as the first couple of years with the franchises, how big this is, and you've got Flow Racing involved. Just kind of talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting for the sport to, kind of maybe evolve to the next level and, kind of, get treated a little bit more like a professional sport and a little less like a hobby, especially at the very tip-top level. There's a lot of, time and money invested into, building these race teams and, putting these cars on the track. So these owners, I think deserve it. I think the drivers, the elite level drivers, are going to be, going after, a little bit bigger paydays, over the course of a season. And, I think it's fair. I think the amount of time and, risk that you take and, committing to being a professional sprint car driver, it's gratifying that we can put some money on the table that's, going to be very meaningful for these car owners and very meaningful for these drivers. And so, excited to, kind of launch that. And I think the business is kind of, evolving, into a much bigger sport with what streaming's been able to do for the sport. And, just excited to kind of put something like that together. Something that we wanted to do with High Limit Racing, to have some transparency for the teams and, try to help the teams, actually run, sustainable, successful businesses. So, it's definitely exciting. And I think it's just the first step and kind of, what this is going to look like over the next 5 to 10 years, but definitely a great first step.
You put a big focus on fan engagement too with the fan fests and the presentation. I think Flo does a great job. Your announcers, Chase Rodman and Tony Laporta, and just that whole package putting together. But the fan engagement, the dice rolls, all of that stuff has been a big part of it, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're in, is the entertainment business. And, it's a product. When you come to the racetrack and you see High Limit Racing, we want that to look a certain way, and we want the fans to feel a certain way about it and be entertained a certain way. So I think you see that with all the, extra things that we try to do to, keep the fans engaged, excited, the efficiency of our shows, the fan fest, the closeness to the drivers, the chance for a fan to win money with the Durst dice roll. And just, the question, just the way we do our dash question, keeps the fan, lets the fan ask the drivers a question that's a little more personal than just asking about their race car. So, yeah, quite a few things that we do. We're pretty hyper focused on the fan experience and what the fan, how the fan enjoys watching a sprint car race, because we know that the sprint car racing and dirt track racing is exciting, but if it's presented the wrong way, it can kind of go the other way pretty quick for a fan experience. So we try to make sure that we show it in the best light we possibly can as often as we possibly can.
Well, I was going to say, too, the charity aspect of it, too, has been a big part of what you got going on.
Yeah, they got an angel donor, yep. That takes a lot of different people. Not just, the angel donor helps, but a lot of people have put their spin on, their input and their ideas in High Limit. And we've listened to kind of every person and try to work with a lot of different people, but to create the product we have. So yeah, really just appreciate all the different, different ideas and people and the angel donor that, it takes to get to the point that we're at right now, where, from start to finish, I think our show is, the most exciting, most entertaining, and most efficient, product out there right now.
We're really heavy on sprint car racing. I don't know if you know it, but the Racing Boys are really heavy on sprint car racing.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? I mean, the product as a whole is exciting.
We're all passionate about sprint car racing, that's for sure.
I mean, the racing all over the place this weekend was just outstanding. I mean, we saw a great race. I mean, a photo finish at Knoxville, and we had, we'll have Ryan Timms on here a little bit, but that battle he had with Chase Randall last night. We had a battle in the ASCS. I mean, it's everywhere you look. Wing sprint car racing's really a great product right now.
It is, yep, it's always been a great product. That's never been the question. It's just about how we show it. And streaming's allowing us to show it to a lot more fans, a lot more eyes are on their sport now. And I think you have to take that into consideration. You can't have 3 and 4 support classes, and you can't be there all night long, because the real product that you're showing them is like you said, the photo finish or the battle through the main event. Those are the highlights. Those are the reasons that people go. And so, if you don't show that or do it in an efficient time manner, you're not really probably showing it to as many fans as you probably should be, because, fans, they lose their, focus, and you got to keep them engaged as long as you possibly can.
The Napa 49 car going to be at Knoxville and Houston over the next couple of weeks?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there, and then get through Houston, and we'll go down to Lucas Oil. So yeah, we got Eagle, Knoxville, Houston, and Lucas Oil to kind of finish off this month. All big money races and all extremely competitive shows. So yeah, definitely time to knock it up a gear, and hopefully we can get our Napa 49 car quite a few victories this month.
There he is. They call him the Big Cat, Brad Sweet, joining us earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports. I like Brad.
Yep,
He's
I do
always been
too.
a good guy to me.
He was generous with his time,
Yeah.
too. We had him on sorry about that. We had him on for a full almost 20 minutes. So if you want to go back, I cut some of that interview out. So if you want to go back, episode 363 of your podcast interview. It's a good interview with Brad Sweet. He's always generous with his time, and we appreciate him. I took a couple things out also because we talked a lot about Eagle, and Eagle had already happened.
Right.
So I took out, I left some of it in, but I took out because we had a couple questions about Eagle and stuff. But
that was leading into the
that's
Eagle
right,
race.
because that was Monday. We did
yeah,
that, and Tuesday night was the race. So that's why I didn't leave a lot of that in, because it was not relevant to today. But like you said, that whole audio podcast is up, and you can you can download that. Make sure you guys are a subscriber to that page.
Last night, Brad Sweet started 13th and ended up 10th in the feature up at Knoxville.
Yeah, you got to start up farther than that if you're gonna. Too many good drivers out there now. You're not coming from the back. If you're not qualifying well, you're not racing well.
Well, it's like Buddy Kofoid coming off that big win at
Absolutely.
Eagle. He finished, started 15th and ended up 11th. And Donnie Schatz, who had a terrible qualifying run, of course, Donnie Schatz is synonymous with Knoxville with his 11 Knoxville Nationals wins. didn't qualify well, started 25th, had to use a provisional, and still passed the most race car. He was the hard charger of the night, but still ended up 15th. So, you better get a good qualifying run up there tonight if you want to get a good finish up there. Brian Brown found that out. He normally qualifies well at Knoxville, too, but last night, 11th in Group A, and then started 6th in the heat race, and then got caught up in a bad wreck. Got up over the rear wheels of Aaron Reitzel car. Bill Baylog was also involved in that wreck. But that was a nasty crash that Brian took up down in Turn 2 last night up at Knoxville. That destroyed his race car. That thing was bent in every which way last night. And so we'll see what Brian does tonight. Gonna have to dig out a different race car for tonight.
He's going to have to get another backup car after that, right?
Absolutely.
That isn't good.
That car got tore up really bad last night.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm glad he didn't get hurt, or no more hurt than he did. He said he was.
I was really concerned about that because how hard that hit was, and they panned away as you do.
Right.
Okay, we're checking on Brian, and it took a couple of 3 minutes before we knew Brian was okay.
That's
crawled
scary.
out of the car, and thank God he was all right after that.
Was he
But that
dinged
was
up a
nasty
little bit?
crash.
Yeah, he said he didn't know if he was at What did he say? He didn't know if he was at Knoxville.
I don't know if we got any video of that.
I tried to find some. I'm going to have to actually go into the actual flow
Well, we
race
don't get
back.
to it. But anyway, we probably better get to part 2 of
Absolutely, we
Ryan
got
Kim's.
a long interview here with Brian.
Ryan he's won 2 straight at Houston Speedway. Of course, this is where they're going next week for the High Bank Nationals. And Ryan has figured out the best way around Houston Speedway. He's also run well at Knoxville on the weekly shows up there. We had Ryan on our show earlier this week. Here's part 2 of that conversation. All right, Knoxville, you swept the weekend when the non-wing USAC sprint cars were up there last weekend, 360 one night and a 410 the next. I was up there in the stands watching you race on Saturday night of a week ago, and boy, that car of yours you didn't start right up front, but boy, you just powered to the front. You just had a really strong race car up there. Now, this past Saturday night, the competition level ramped up by quite a bit. You raced against guys like Tyler Courtney and Corey Day and Reitzel and those guys coming up. You still ended up with a top 5 finish up there at Knoxville on Saturday night. Just how you've been able to really get a handle at Knoxville.
Yeah, at the start of the year, I've always struggled there, and at the start of the year, I did struggle there with Shane pretty bad. The car was always fast. I just, as a driver, for whatever reason, struggled with staying smooth on the wheel around there, and that's a really big deal there. And we just kept racing there, kept getting laps, and I got beat up, or got beat pretty bad, and we got our teeth kicked in for the first 2 or 3 races, and then one weekend we just had a really good night, started up front, and things started clicking, and every night I've gotten better, I feel like, and I'm up until this past weekend, I did a lot of things really well, and then this past weekend I just struggled in lap traffic to get by lap cars, and but it was a good learning experience, and I was glad it happened at the race where the competition was a little more stout, just so when the Outlaws come, it's not if something like that situation happens again, I've been there already, so I kind of know what to expect. So it was a good weekend. It wasn't the result we wanted, but it was still a good 4th place run and a good learning experience for me.
Talk about that 360 win and the 410 win as well.
Yeah, both nights were awesome. The 360, I started on the pole, the 360 deal. Right off the start, I was able to just get straight to the top and get wound up there, get going, and I had a pretty good lead for a while, and then Austin got the bottom rolling, and right when he got the bottom rolling and started reeling me in, I started making some mistakes up top and allowed him to close in, and he had an opportunity one corner, and he took it, he slid me, and I actually got like real tight against the cushion when he slid me, and then got my right rear up over it. I mean, in the video, from what I remember being right up next to the wall, and it looks like it in the video. It got really close, and he just came right across my nose, and I was able, when I got up over the cushion, it lined me straight down the track, and I was able to retake the lead, and had some lap cars blocking for me, and was able to just get my momentum up and walk away with it. And then next night, started fourth. I struggled at the beginning of the race, and we had a restart with about 15 to go, 10, 15 to go, and everyone went to the bottom first corner, and I was able to just keep my foot in it and plug it in the cushion, and I had a really good run going on the back stretch. I think I got by 2 cars. I was in third at that point, and then was able to just reel in both McCarls and pick them off on the top side. So, yeah, it's really good whenever this thing around the top. I mean, it's really good on the bottom too, but you get it wound up on the top at Knoxville, and it carries a ton of speed.
Winning any race at Knoxville, I don't care who's there, is a big deal, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
different than anywhere else, isn't it?
I would have to agree. I've raced California, Pennsylvania, all the local stuff, and they're all very challenging in their own way. But Knoxville, for whatever reason, is such a technical track, and it's just a different kind of race, and I don't know how to explain it, but I'm just really happy that I've been able to adapt to it, and luckily, I have my car. It's really, really good around Knoxville, and it's good everywhere, but I'd say Knoxville is its best track, and it's helped me a lot as a driver to get good there and get comfortable. And once we got that first one out of the way, it was not easy, but it was just kind of like a monkey off my back, and just, I don't know, it made it a little bit less stressful, I guess. And it's been a pretty surreal season at Knoxville so far. It's hard to believe almost. So I'm just taking every night, trying to learn as much as I can, and that way we can have a good nationals and a good outlaw weekend.
Yep, the World of Outlaws this weekend, Friday and Saturday. You're headed to Eagle tomorrow night. What's the ticket there? $55,555 on the line. Everybody is going to be there. Is the real key just to go in to try to lay down a good qualifying lap? That would really set your night up really good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's certain tracks you can qualify not so good, and as long as the track conditions are decent, and you can sometimes come up through a heat race and be okay with not getting qualified good, and Eagle is one of them. But anytime you qualify in the top 5, it makes the night so much easier. So the goal every night is to, or the main focus at least up until qualifying, is getting a good time down, and then going with it from there. So we'll try to get qualified good, and if we do that, I think it'll make the night not easy, but a lot easier than most guys have it.
I mean, Eagle, it's a very fast racetrack, but it's a lot different than Huset's, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, they're both bull rings, and they're both you got to be up on the wheel at both of them. So I think I've been there once. I was there last year. I was in the main. I don't remember how I did exactly, but it was one of my favorite tracks last year. So I'm definitely very excited to go. It's always a really good race, and it always has a lot of character, it seems, with sometimes how rough it gets. So it should be good. I think this car will be really, really fast there, and it's just as long as I get a good time down and put a good night together, we should have a good run. So we'll see.
You're a true outlaw. I mean, you're running a really open schedule here. You've laid out a pretty good schedule. You're racing with everybody, and at Knoxville and Huset's, you kind of focused on a little bit here, but you're just spreading your wings out and just going to wherever. Does that make it a lot more fun than not being tied down to one series or the other?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not a big fan of points racing. I think it just kind of makes you a little more cautious, and it's just not my thing. It's stressful, and I'm not a fan of it. But we're points racing at Huset's, and that's all right. But I couldn't imagine doing it on the Outlaw or High Limit Tour. It'd be a whole different deal. I do. This is normally every year I race everywhere. Not really. I don't ever race two of the same tracks all the time. So it's been really good for Knoxville, obviously. But it's been a little different. I've been kind of missing racing other tracks, but this season it's getting ready to get real busy here. So once summertime comes around, we'll be racing a lot of high limited outlaw stuff kind of everywhere. So should be really good, and we'll just go race by race and try to learn as much as we can and get the best results possible.
Todd's really good at showing your merch page. Talk about that merch page.
Yeah, you can go to shopbriantims.com, and we got a whole bunch of new stuff. We had old 5T merchandise for sale on there. I haven't checked to see if we're out of stock on all that yet.
You've still got some. Yeah, you still got some.
There might be some old cheaper 5T stuff, and then all the new. There's about 3 or 4 new 10-car designs on there. So there's a lot of good options on there, and we got beanies, hoodies, hats, stickers, all of it. So if you want to get decked out, for the racetrack, Brian Tims merch, and shopbriantims.com.
Last year you raced the midget full time there. Does that help you not having to race the midget? You miss racing the midget?
A little bit. It was a lot of fun doing that. I've always been a big fan of the midget racing. When it's done right, it's some of the best racing out there. So it's a little bit, but I want to be a World Outlaw sprint car driver or a World Outlaw champion. That's the end goal. So for my career, it's what I want to do is race sprint cars and only race sprint cars. And for my career, it's definitely the best choice. I don't know if I would redo it, if I could go back and redo it, if I would just go sprint cars, but I don't think it would have been a bad idea either. But the midget deal, it was just such a cool opportunity. I really didn't want to pass that up, and it kind of worked out the way. It's funny that it worked out the way it did, and if I never took it, then maybe me and Shane would have never got hooked up. So just kind of a funny way it all works.
Are you going to run the Chili Bowl?
Yeah, you'll still do that, right?
Yeah, I plan on it. I really haven't talked to anyone about doing it, but I don't see why I wouldn't, but we'll see. You know, people have asked me if I'm going to Australia, and that's all just too far away stuff to really think about. But you know, if I get if the right ride is offered, then I'm not going to pass it up.
Ryan Timms joining us. This was before they went to Eagle Raceway. And how did he do at Eagle? Well, he came from the B main, started 23rd, and ended up 15th. And again, qualifying's a big deal. We talked about it. You got to lay down a good qualifying lap up there. Well, that's hard to do when you talk about the competition that was there. But he qualified, I think, 9th out of 21 cars in his group. And so he started 5th, finished 6th in the heat. And so that puts you in the B. And so you got to come out of the B main and start at the back of the A. You're not going to win, start that far back. So it was pretty tough at Eagle Raceway. But by and large, he's been putting together some really good finishes, and he's got to go into Houston Speedway feeling really good about his chances to do well up there. I mean, he's really got a handle on that racetrack up there, and that's the big one coming up. Buddy Kofoid going for his second straight High Bank Nationals win. Who won there 2 years ago? David Gravel. So $250,000 is going to be up for grabs next weekend. You know, they only paid $100,000 when they had it on Labor Day weekend last year.
David Gravel.
Remember that?
David Gravel won up at Knoxville last night.
So,
yep.
But getting back to the High Bank Nationals, the place flooded last year, so they had to move it to Labor Day weekend. They ended up having it, but they didn't pay out the full $250,000 to win. Last year.
Why didn't they pay that $250,000?
Because they had to move it to a different date, and they had to combine with another big paying event that weekend. But it's back to $250,000 this weekend. And I haven't seen the forecast up there, but I don't think we're going to get flooded out this time, are we? At Houston's?
I think you'll be all right.
I hope not.
Fingers crossed.
Keep our fingers crossed up there. So a big week at Houston Speedway, and we'll talk about it on Monday's Mostly Motorsports show. And we'll try to get Sean Neistad, who's the great announcer at Houston Speedway, on the show. Try to get him on to help.
He's a fantastic announcer.
Great announcer.
Right.
And so they got I think 4 nights. They got 4 nights of racing coming up next weekend up there at Houston. So should be a great show.
Are you thinking about going up there, Kirk?
I'm not able to go this year, but I'd like to go up there. I love Houston Speedway. It feels like, when you're in the infield at Houston Speedway, it's got a unique, it feels like you're in the stadium.
Maybe I'll go up there.
You think about heading up there?
Maybe.
Yeah. You went up there a couple of years ago, right?
Yep.
I was up there 2 years ago. Watched Buddy Kofoid cruise to what I thought was victory until his engine exploded. And that was that. He was going to win that race. David Gravel's able to take advantage of it, but Buddy did win last year up there. And I would consider Buddy Kofoid the favorite to win again at Houston Speedway, especially the way he ran at Eagle Raceway the other night. I was so impressed with Buddy's drive to hold off Corey Day to win that race up there. He did everything humanly possible to keep the 14 car at bay, and I thought maybe Corey Day might have had the fastest race car. What do you think, Scott?
I think Corey Day had the fastest race car.
Buddy did a good job of blocking every move that Corey Day make, and that was as intense a sprint car race as you'll ever see. The battle between Buddy Kofoid and Corey Day at Eagle Raceway, that was unbelievable. That track is built for wing sprint car racing. What a show at Eagle Raceway last week. Glad Corey's okay after crashing off hitting the wall and getting up into the fence down there. Glad he's okay after that. That was pretty wicked.
But that was a nasty wreck.
So Buddy Kofoid walks out of there with $55,555. He'd like to add $250,000 next weekend at the High Bank Nationals at Huset's. I was looking at Buddy's performance last night at Knoxville. He's struggling just a little bit at Knoxville, Buddy, trying to get his car to operate the way he'd like to up there. But these short tracks, he's really good.
He picked up the win at the Eagle Nationals.
Yeah. We love Eagle Raceway.
That's one of my favorite racetracks to go to.
They need to, I think they need to enclose their scoring booth up there, though, because the sound was almost drowning out announcer Chase Rodman. You know, they got an open booth up there. I think they need to put a glass in that booth up there because that having the announcer out in the open. You know, they fixed that at Lucas Oil Speedway. They built a booth down there. You used to have the announcers outside. You know, we were doing events at Lucas Oil Speedway, and, you know, you were manning the knobs on the soundboard, and sometimes the sound would drown out the announcer. Well, they fixed that at Lucas Oil Speedway by putting them inside in front of the glass. They need to do the same up at Eagle Raceway. Because there was a couple of times it was a little hard to hear Chase Rodman over the sound up there. So I'll say that. But other than that, I love Eagle Raceway.
All right. Track Talk has been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guests Ryan Timms and Brad Sweet.
And we'll get a couple of guests lined up at Knoxville tonight for Monday's show. And tonight, the 360s are going to be in action. Tonight, a lot more 360 cars than we saw in the 305s last night at Knoxville. So it's going to be a lot of cars. You got 64 World of Outlaw 410 sprint cars, and I'm guessing there'll probably be 30-some 360 sprint cars, so it's going to be a full night up at Knoxville. Looking forward to being up there and checking out my favorite racetrack, Knoxville Raceway. That is my favorite, you know.
Kirk, your favorite racetrack is Knoxville Raceway?
Yep, because I've been going there since I was about 10.
You've been going there since you were about 10 years old?
Something like that. Yes, as long as I can remember. I've been going to Knoxville.
All right.
So can't wait to get up there tonight. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Todd, thanks. Great job, as always.
Thank you, man. See you guys Monday, episode 364.
So what do you got going on here for the rest of the week? Yeah, Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you,
That's
Todd.
what I say. Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Scott.
And Scott.
Right.
Happy Father's Day to you.
Right.
Tomorrow.
I'm heading out and
hopefully my kids will give me a call.
They'll be calling.
They'll be around.
I got one coming in.
They'll be around.
I got one coming in tomorrow, and I already got one in town. And I think we're going to visit Jennifer's dad tomorrow. My dad, of course, he just passed away this year, so this will be my first year without me call him without my annual. I usually call him on Saturday. When it would be Father's Day on Sunday, but I would call him on my way home from work, and we would talk on my way home from work because he used to get up real early down there when he lived down there at the VA home, and he was a 4 o'clock riser, you know, and so 5 o'clock was breakfast, and heck, lunch was already by 10 o'clock, you know. So I used to talk to him and so my phone call to my dad on Father's Day, I've been doing that for 12 years after I left the Racing Boys on Saturday morning and give my dad a call.
I'm sorry that you lost your dad.
Yeah, he's in a better place now. I mean, it's hard to say that, but he's not dealing with all the struggles that he was dealing with. And like I said, if you're out there and you've got somebody in your life that make sure you reach out to him and say hey to him, you know.
My dad's gone as well.
Yeah, like you said.
Yeah, I've My dad passed away 27 years ago. We always used to watch. He was a big golf fan.
There you go.
So on Father's Day, we'd always
Watch
used
the
to
US
watch
Open.
the U.S. Open on
Absolutely.
Father's Day every year. And that was kind of a tradition we had. I don't know who's going to win this year's U.S. Open, but it's going on right
It's
now.
going on
in
as we speak out there in Pennsylvania. So
Oakmont, Pennsylvania.
Oakmont, Pennsylvania. But like you said, guys, if make sure you reach out to your dad today. If you haven't sent a card, it's already too late for it to get in the mail. So make sure you pick up that telephone and say,
Happy
"Hey,
Father's
Happy
Day to
Father's Day."
everybody.
That's right. You guys have fun out there at the racetrack. Be safe. Buy a T-shirt.
All right. Track Talk has been brought to you by Rod End Supply, featuring the POWRi Midwest Lightning Sprints. We want to thank our guests, Brad Sweet and Ryan Timms. And thanks to Todd Surprise. Thanks to Kirk Elliott. As
We'll talk to you on Monday.
We'll talk to you on Monday. Mostly Motorsports.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.